Okay, class, today I want to look at fired clay or fired ceramics. Earlier we looked at greenware and that was anything unfired. Today we're going to look at fired clay. So in your notes that you will copy, your heading should look like this: fired ceramics. Okay, draw your line down the center because there are two types of fired ceramics. The first one is called bisqueware, Bisqueware. Notice there's that word again, ware, which means ceramics. And bisque is basically a firing that is done at a lower temperature. Now in ceramics, that low temperature is still pretty high because the temperature for a bisque is actually 1,616 degrees, and that's Fahrenheit. So that's a low temperature in ceramics. And this firing is done over a longer period of time. Longer firing. And the reason we do that is because the bone dry clay doesn't have very good tensile strength, which is a very important word, tensile strength. Which means tensile strength refers to the maximum stress the clay can withstand during heat expansion and contraction. It basically means as the piece of ceramics gets heated, again, we're looking at pretty hot. As it gets heated, a piece will expand. If it expands too quick, it will crack. Therefore, it has met its maximum stress load that it can handle. The way to avoid that is to bisque fire. You go at a lower temperature for a longer time. It's kind of like putting a piece of glassware into your oven when the oven's cool, and then slowly bringing that temperature up, as opposed to taking a cold piece of glassware out of the refrigerator or something and putting it into a hot oven where it would likely explode. So bisque firing is just doing what's necessary to keep the piece from breaking. Okay, and then going to that lower temperature, the piece is not getting fully vitrified. Remember that word vitrification means to become glass-like? So it's partially vitrified. Therefore, the piece is still porous, which allows it to accept glazing. The porous piece will suck up the glaze and combine with it. Okay, so it's partially vitrified, it's porous, and it's ready to be glazed. Okay, now the second part of the firing clay is there's a second firing. You had the bisque firing, and then we have the glaze firing, which would create glaze wear. There's that word wear again, okay, which means ceramics. Some people call this glassware. Those are interchangeable. I prefer glazeware. Now that you've done a bisque firing, the piece has more tensile strength now where it had very little. So in the glaze firing, you can fire to a higher temperature as a result. We typically fire our pieces to 2,232 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can go to a higher temperature and you can do it in a shorter time. Shorter firing. Okay. Now in doing that, you go to a higher temperature, you are fully vitrified at this point. Fully vitrified. That means the piece is very hard, very glass-like. It is non-porous at this point, which is very important for health reasons. If you're doing cups or bowls or anything, you can't have a porous piece. You need it fully fired to a high temperature and it becomes glass-like. And then that's your finished product. So these are your notes. Please write these down, take a picture of them, and send them in to this assignment for your credit.